but deep inside was raging from losing the spotlight. Chapter 6. As Aang charges towards the monster. It attempts to counterattack with a right hook. Aang manages to dodge it and lands a solid blow on its armpit. Aang's reactions clearly weren't quick enough. The monster again counters with a right kick, to which Aang also dodges. Now, switches his dagger to his left hand, he takes a stab at its gut. His body struggles to keep up with the coordination. The angry monster launches another attack. Aang quickly retrieves his dagger and slashes the monster's throat. It wasn't as strong as he hoped it would be, but it was enough to take down the enemy. He still lacked the strength to totally dominate even a finless monster. His teammates were shocked at what they saw. Snow felt Aang was toying with the monster, while Yuhui kept recording the fight. Lu, however, showed an emotionless facade, but deep inside was raging from losing the spotlight. From afar, the squad leaders were impressed by how expertly Aang handled the last monster. Yao Tang's suspicions are heightened after witnessing his movements. Back on the exam grounds, Aang evaluated his abilities and concluded that it was a dreadful body in which to reincarnate. He strikes the beast with his finishing blow, but an entity emerges from the ground. It punctured the laying monster with wooden tentacles. A gigantic root-like cage had enveloped the team. Then, the unknown creature arose and ripped like paper through the fallen monster's body. Its head poked out from beneath the cadaver and let out a terrible snarl. Yao Tang and the other leaders were quickly alerted by this display of bloodlust. A one-finned demon has infiltrated the testing area. The cadets are warned to return to the city as soon as possible. Yao Tang and the other squad leaders immediately rushed to the scene. Jel and Joel burst through the exam area and tried to mitigate the commotion. Meanwhile, Aang and his crew were frozen by the sight of the one-finned demon, which was apparently searching the human cadets for the scent of another demon. It emitted an intense aura that constrained them from moving. Even Aang, humanity's finest warrior, felt the dread in front of him. He understands that his body is incapable of combating this monster. Because the one-finned demon couldn't identify the owner of the scent, he decided to bring them all with him. He raised his palm and fired a little energy strike directly at their heads. The crew immediately fell unconscious. The monster was about to abduct them when Jel and Joel broke through his wooden blockade. This was too late, as the one-finned monster quickly retreated to the hole from which it had emerged, bringing Aang and the rest of the squad with him. Despite this, the squadron leaders continued to pursue it. Chapter 7. Jel and Joel located the point where the demon's traces end. Jel still couldn't fathom how a one-finned managed to slip into the area which has been thoroughly checked. Not long, Yao Tang caught up to them. He was agitated upon realizing the two had stopped chasing after the demon. They explained to him that the tracks had stopped where they were standing and beyond that was an uncharted territory. Yao Tang came to his senses, realizing that racing into an unfamiliar location would be a foolish decision. But having been traumatized when he was a child, Yao Tang could only release his frustrations by striking the ground. He blames himself for the event and is indignant that his rigorous inspection was insufficient. Joel advises that they leave the hunt to an exploratory crew and head back to the city. Jel attempts to console Yao Tang, but he shrugged her hand off his shoulder and got back up. He is adamant on continuing the rescue even without them. Joel vehemently disagreed with his careless decision, but Jel cut him off and decided to let Yao Tang go as long as he returned before dark. Yao Tang understood this and continued his search, disappearing in the misty veil. Jel and Joel were aware that Yao Tang's past trauma made any attempt to dissuade him from continuing pointless. It is revealed that when Yao Tang was a child, his younger brother was taken by demons. This incident just serves to relive the pain of losing his sibling and the remorse of being helpless at the time. At the demon's lair, Aang regains consciousness. He is relieved to see his teammates chained and unconscious but still alive. The demon had noticed Aang's reawakening and crept behind him. He is astounded by how rapidly Aang recovered consciousness in comparison to his teammates. As Aang's scent showed significantly higher strength than him, the demon's curiosity surges. The befuddled Aang used this opportunity to break free from his bonds and assault the one-finned demon, who effortlessly avoided it. As the monster attempted to counterattack, Aang was able to avoid and maintain his distance in order to assess the situation. Despite the fact that this isn't his former body, he still needs to save his squad. He remembered his prior understanding of the one-finned demon's strengths and weaknesses upon observing its red core and devised an attack strategy. Now, it's all or nothing. He initiates the attack. But the demon responded fast and struck Aang's body just as he was about to strike a hit. Chapter 8. The one-finned demon was fast. He struck Aang in the right shoulder during the assault. But Aang's strategy included this. In order to execute a close combat counterattack, he required the demon to attack him. He took hold of the demon's arm, locked it, and stabbed its joints, which were its primary weak point. The demon's right limb was severed by Aang, demonstrating his skill in battle. By Aang's skill, the one-finned demon was astounded. Aang wouldn't allow a one-finned demon to look down on him. The demon simply grinned. Suddenly, Aang felt a swift and powerful kick in his stomach. He was flung across the cave and into the wall. This seriously hurt him. The demon then used a healing technique to repair his amputated limb. This surprises Aang, recognizing that it was a demon of the red core wood type with healing abilities. He recalls that only green core demons had that particular skill. He suddenly realized that demons may have mutated over time, giving rise to hybrid enemies like the one he is currently fighting. It seemed like this demon had the upper hand. He signaled by raising his hand, summoning Aang. He was suddenly pierced and dragged toward the demon by wooden tentacles that protruded from the wall behind him. He was grabbed by the head. Weak and defenseless, Aang was no longer able to fight back. Although the demon was still confused of how the potent demon scent came from this frail man's flesh, it didn't matter to him anymore. Because of his pierced lungs, Aang is so badly hurt that he is unable to breathe. And it repeated for him, exactly like the last minutes of his previous existence. His final moments of helplessness, with his new teammates on the verge of death and him powerless to intervene. He apologizes to his squad once again as he starts to pass out. While waiting, the demon kept an eye on Aang to see if he had already passed away. He pondered whether eating Aang would lead him to evolve. He nevertheless made the decision to devour him. However, a strong demonic force had suddenly arisen. An entity that was enraged by the prospect of being eaten had awakened inside Aang. As soon as it sensed this tremendous energy, the one-finned demon hurriedly retreated. Aang was now under the control of this potent demonic force. It seems it had other plans for Aang, thus refused to perish in that way. An ominous aura emerges from Aang's body as his red core fractures. The gigantic aura sprang out of nowhere with fins that simultaneously healed Aang's wounds. As the demonic energy started to cover Aang's body, 6 fins have already materialized. Aang's human form has now completely changed into a demon's body as a result of this. As the demonic entity awakened, an instantaneous burst of tremendous energy erupted from the possessed body, blasting through the cave's roof. The power of the beam eviscerated the nearby monsters. Eventually, the erratic aura subsided, and the entity had finished its transformation. A majestic 8-finned demon was now in front of the one-finned demon, who was trembling in dread as he recognized it. The lesser demon immediately bent down to his knees in response to the 8-finned demon's command to do so. Its silken hair was as white as snow, and its eyes shone like the moon. He told the one-finned monster to say his name. The lesser demon trembled as he uttered, "Crimson-finned King," the name of the 8-finned monster. Chapter 9. Ji Yao Tang continued scouring the misty forest alone. This unknown territory was full of monsters, but they were no match for the squadron leader's might. He breezed through them, overpowering 2 at the same time. Still, there were no signs of the abducted cadets in the area. It was nearing sundown, so he has to make haste and cover more ground. Suddenly, the crimson energy burst from the mountains behind him. The terrifying energy sent ripples of shockwaves towards him, blasting debris of rocks and dust. He suspects Aang and the squad may be where the powerful explosion came from. At the cave, the crimson demon moved closer to the one-finned demon, who cowered even more. The newly awoken demon was curious about this new era. But what he was more interested in was if the demon lords were still the same as when he left. He asked the trembling demon in front of him, who instantly confirmed it.